Nice.
Stefan, how you doing?
Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you?
Man, great, man. Great. How you doing today?
Yeah, good, man. I'm really enjoying the series of what I've seen of it so far. It's
You like
really.
it? How many episodes you get to see?
They've given us. I'm not sure they've given us access to, but I've only watched the first two so far. But I like to take my time with series. I like to watch them. I'm one of those old fashioned. I don't binge watch like some people. I like to take the the long
You like
approach.
to watch it over and over, over and over.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, but no, I'm really enjoying it, and I think your performance is great. But I was going to start really by asking if acting was something you always wanted to do anyway, or did it kind of take this project for you to realize that this is something you wanted to explore further?
It took this project to make me realize that, because I had no thought of acting before 50 Cent called me and told me he wanted to put me in acting classes so I could learn how to act and get ready to play the role of my father, you know. But once I learned how to act and learned how to, you know, and felt comfortable with acting and got on set and loved it and really felt comfortable and knew what I was doing and loved what I was doing. Every day I loved going to set. And now I feel like I want to act for the rest of my life. Like this is my career choice. This is what I want to do until I die.
So what does your dad make of this project, in the sense that when you first got offered that part by 50 Cent, did you ask your dad if he minded? Did you have to kind of get his permission first to play him, or?
My dad always wanted me to play him. My dad told 50 he wanted me to play him. It's just if I was able to do it, I have to be able to earn it and be able to do it. Just because he's my dad, it doesn't mean that he's going to give me the role just because I'm playing my dad. I had to earn it. I had to show them that I can act. I had to show them that I can, you know, pull it off. So my dad always wanted me to play him, and 50 Cent always wanted me to play him, but I had to show Starz and show the network, show everybody else that I could do it, you know. So that's what it really was. And once I was able to do that, you know, I'm here now.
So has your dad seen any of the show? Do you know? Have you got any feedback? Do you know if he's seen you play him yet?
He's seen the trailer. He hasn't seen the first episode, but he's seen the trailer. He loves it. He couldn't be more proud. He told me that. Tells me that every time I talk to him, he loves it.
So how is it playing like your dad on screen? Do you find that you're playing the character that's written on the page, or are you naturally playing the version of him that you know? Is that quite a hard balance to get right? Because I guess in some ways, even though it's a very real a version and take on your dad's life, it is still a piece of entertainment. So is that quite a tough balance to kind of be?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know my dad more than anybody, better than anybody does. You know, it's my dad. Me and him have the same mannerism stuff. I was just born with that he had. It's stuff I can't duplicate, you know. But I can't be my dad. I have to be me in him in imaginary circumstances, you know, like truthfully in imaginary circumstances. So it's like I have to put myself in his shoes. He had to let me know everything he was going through back then, 15, 16, 17 years old, facing hardships and violence and walking over dead bodies and poor as hell, walking with holes in his shoes, going to school and all type of different things he had just put in my head so I understood what type of place he was in, what type of mind frame he was in at the time in 1980s in Detroit, when it wasn't like Miami and Florida, like how I grew up in private school. He made sure I was good. You know, I had to put myself in his shoes. So it was different. You know, I couldn't just be him. I had to be me too, but still be him, you know, in imaginary circumstances. But I felt like I couldn't think about it too hard. I had to soak it in, just be authentic and natural as possible. That's why I was able to do it. If I thought about it too hard, I wouldn't be able to be natural.
Yeah. But how important was it that this is an authentic portrayal of what your dad's life and what happened? Because of course, like, you're always going to want to show your father in a good light, but there's also this obligation, isn't there, to show his mistakes as well. And everyone on this planet, all of us are flawed. Is that something you had to reconcile with quite early on? That idea of being just very authentic, but at the same time knowing that at times being authentic doesn't always mean showing the subject matter in the most positive way.
Yeah, so my dad always wanted people to know the origin story, the real him. People know what they hear. They go on the internet and look up what they hear. They don't know the real story, how my dad actually grew up and how he actually made himself who he is, the choices he made to become who he is today. So I wanted people to know that. I wanted people to see how good of a person he was and how many opportunities he created for people. So, of course, I'm going to show people the real, authentic him, you know, and that's all he wanted people to know. Not go on the History Channel, go on documentary and look up what they're saying about him. That's not the real him. that's what people hear, you know. So this is the real him. And 50 Cent, Stars helped to put together, you know. I'm appreciative that they even allow us to put this together and show this, you know. This is all my dad ever wanted.
Yeah, because I mean, we're all kind of like fascinated by our own family histories. We all have like family trees to like trace back our roots and our ancestors and stuff. I mean, just forgetting just the whole like work aspect of this, it must have just been kind of fascinating for you too to go back into your own family history like this and into the mind of your own flesh and blood.
Oh yeah, it was mind blowing, like literally like crazy to me. Like we actually got to walk the same steps my dad and my uncle walked in Detroit at my grandmother's house, the same house they grew up in. So stuff like that you can't duplicate, you can't buy, like you can't. Like that shit, it's like divine order, like it was meant to happen. And me and Da Vinci has so many authentic advantages, like with this, you know, it just made it so natural for us. We got to sit down with my grandma, sit down, talk to my uncle, talk to my dad, talk to the real people, and literally understand the realness and the authenticity of the story, and really help, you know, show it. So that I'm just glad that we was able to really use what we had in front of us and make the best out of it.
So what, the house that you went to was your real grandmother's house?
The real house.
Nice. Yeah. People would pay like people would pay a lot of money to have these kind of, it's like a virtual tour for your own history. Like it's incredible. Right. It's an incredible thing. Like, yeah. But I mean, do you feel like for making this, you now have a different relationship with your dad? Now you've put yourself in his head. I mean, you've obviously always had a close relationship. You've always tried to understand your family, like we all try to understand our family. But now you've actually professionally had to become him. Do you think you've got a different perspective of him or a different relationship with him than you did before?
For sure. Just because I didn't understand what my dad had to go through when he was so young. I didn't understand the choices he had to make. And now this brings us even closer, because not only we have to talk about it, I have to do it, and I have to show him, you know, and we get to talk about it more, and I understand exactly where he was thinking and what he was thinking about during the time, and how he dealt with certain things and the choices he made. You know, like it was different. You know, he loved his mom and dad, but they didn't understand him. He just wanted to take care of the family. But now they understand, you know, now they love him and appreciate everything he did. You know, so it's different. You know, like me and him definitely are closer now because he knows I understand. I'm mature enough now to understand. When I was younger, I just know I had a cool ass dad. I don't understand exactly what he did and who he was. You know, so it's different now.
You've obviously mentioned at the start about how 50 Cent reached out to you. How's it been collaborating and working with 50 Cent on this project? I mean, going back to when I was, you know, sort of 13, 14 and when, you know, so In the Club came out and stuff like that, it was just the most incredible thing. I think I saw him at like Wembley, which is like an arena in London and stuff. And like, so I mean, obviously, you know, of people of a certain generation, obviously he's a collaborator on this. He's very much got like a big role on this project, but he's still 50 Cent, which must have been quite cool.
Right, he's still a legend. You know, he's always been a legend, musically legend, and in film, he's a legend now. Before he even touched BMF, he was a legend. I was appreciative just to work with him, just to get directed by him, just for him to want me to play my dad. I was appreciative. Like you can't buy someone or find someone like 50. Like he's rare, he's genuine. His approach with different things. He thinks years from now. Like he's on a whole different mind frame, a whole different level than a regular person. And it was great working with him. It was great learning from him. He's my mentor, my best friend. Like I talk to him every other day. So it was great working with him. Like I looked up to 50 growing up. I watched Get Rich or Die Trying 50 times. And he has so many other movies, you know, he's just a legend within himself.
Yeah. Well, next time you speak to him, tell him I said hello. And how is it working with Da Vinci on this as well? Because obviously you guys have got to create such a strong bond on screen, and I mean it's so believable. I think your relationship in the series. But how is he to work with on this?
Da Vinci was great, man. Like I told him when I first met him, I get to learn from you because you've been doing this longer than me. It's my first time, you know, and we got so many scenes together. We had to click off screen before we can click on screen. So it was so natural and authentic for us because we come from similar backgrounds. So I think we clicked it. We clicked we clicked for our first thought. We clicked, you know, like first sight. we just connected off rip. You know, it was easy for us. You know, once we really got that natural connection on screen, it was too natural for us. It was too authentic. You know.
Mm-hmm. Because I was going to say, I mean, do you think, because obviously, like, you know, thanks to 50 Cent, you know, you've got, obviously, he reached out to you to give you this role. But do you think taking this path and doing something creative, like being an actor and working in the arts, is a route out for many people of the kind of other different sort of worlds and other industries? And do you think there's enough being done to give young people opportunity in TV and in film, from people like from the hood and from people that might have sort of two paths to sort of go down in their life?
It's definitely not enough opportunities for people out there with acting, especially in the hood, but not even in the hood. Everywhere, it's not a lot of opportunities for people. I feel like just for me, I didn't even know I could act until 50 put me in acting classes. So imagine how many other people don't know the attributes they have and what they're good at because they haven't tried it. They haven't chased their dreams yet. You know, and that's what I would just say to people. And I want to use my platform, hopefully, when I get big enough, just to help the youth and help people that want to chase their dreams, but can't because don't have the resources or not able to, you know, and that's just something that's always been on my mind, you know, and hopefully I can use my platform to do it. I watch people like 50 do it because he did it with me. He does it with people all the time. So it's different, you know, like that's what I want to be able to do, change the world and give opportunities like 50 gave me an opportunity.
So just talking of like future opportunities, would you reckon we'll be seeing more in like seasons to come? You know, I mean, it still feels like I said, I haven't finished the series yet, but even just watching a couple of episodes, it feels like this is something that could run for a few years even.
No, this is something that could run 10 seasons, you know. Yeah. I just can't wait now. And hopefully, you know, we can do all those seasons. We can do, you know, the most we can. You know, we can run as many seasons as we want with this because there's so much to talk about. You know, so many different eras, so many different years. And it was so like history. It was just so important in history. It was decades of BMF. You know, my dad was out in the street for 20, 30-something years doing this, you know. So it's a lot.
Yeah, a lot of good TV to come out of it. But yes. My final question then was I'm just wondering, even though obviously this is probably I can't even imagine how rewarding an experience this must be for you to play your own dad in this series. But in some ways, are you quite looking forward to playing other characters in other kind of types of movie and stuff where maybe that sense of pressure, because I guess there's a lot of pressure on you in this to really get it completely right. Are you kind of looking forward, you know, in the future to trying different types of characters in all sorts of different types of movies?
Of course, that's what 50 Cent put me in acting class for, not to just learn how to play my dad. He taught me I could play anybody. And it's already happening. As soon as I was done filming BMF, I got a call from HBO Max, Euphoria. And I'm on Euphoria season 2. And I just can't wait for people to see my range because that's a whole different Meech than Meech that's on BMF, you know, and I can play anybody. So I really hope and I really know that my career will be full of acting. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you in BMF season 2 and Euphoria season 2. Now, I didn't realize you were in that. Well, thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and best of luck with the release of all these shows.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh? Hey You Guys. Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!